So, Matt, I'm going to fly this one back to you. Probably the question we get asked the most, I would say. So, Matt, how much on a mortgage can I borrow?
Well, in theory, you can borrow £1 million, £2 million, £3 million, but
Brilliant. Let me
in
go get a
yeah,
house now.
exactly, fantastic. Um, Ultimately, there's so many factors that come down to that actually dictate what you can borrow, and that is what we. This is what we are here for. That's why we have those kind of open conversations. Why I said the transparency part is key. It's down to not necessarily what you do for a living. There's a big kind of a myth that, for example, self-employed people can't borrow as much as employed people. That's just not true. It's been out there for years, but it's not true. It's down to your income and your expenditure. It's probably the very overly simple way of me explaining it. Which
Yeah.
I believe on the next slide there is more information.
Yeah, so we thought, without knowing everyone's personal information, we'd run through the types of income that can be used and maybe the different types of contracts that are out there because there's so many different job types, industries out there. It's not an exhaustive list, but mate, I'll go through it and then you can sort of explain each one. So, number one,
Yeah.
probably the most common.
So PAYE, so that is kind of anyone who is employed by a company. You can use basic salary and you can use also additions to pay. So that is things like overtime, commission, bonus, um,
Mate, I
all
think
the
a big
things.
one there as well. A lot of people we see, they tell us their net pay, don't they?
Yeah,
So,
they think what you or no, a lot of people come to us and go, I get paid £1,500 a month. And they think because that's what goes into their bank account, that's what a mortgage lender wants to know. Now, it's not. It's not what a mortgage broker wants to know. It's not what a mortgage lender wants to know. They want to see the gross overall figure and how it's broken down. So this is again where, without kind of obviously trying to say brokers are the best thing since sliced bread, but it is where we will obviously work out who's going to be best for you as a mortgage lender, because we know some lenders will take more income, so such as overtime, bonus, or commission, where they will use 100% of it as long as you can prove that you're doing it consistently. Um, or
so give us an
and you can see number
example.
5 there.
I was just about to say on like overtime. How do lenders look at overtime generally?
So you've got some lenders that will look at the last 3 months as an average, and they'll go, "Yep, brilliant. There's £100, £200, £300. Right, well, we'll average that at £200 a month. We will put £2,400 on the overall salary additional and use that as income."
Right, and then I think Gerald mentioned it earlier. Some will be looking at the P60 to make sure it's consistent as well, going over previous years.
Yeah, so making sure it looks consistent enough that they go, "Yep, that's more than feasible," because ultimately a lender doesn't want to think, oh, they're doing it just for the mortgage. So you want to see that you consistently are doing that level of overtime, for example.
Yeah, and you want to make sure it's secure when people actually start paying the mortgage as
Exactly.
well. You were just about to go on to, and I've already clicked on it, but point five there, self-employed, quite a big one. A lot more people are going self-employed, and there's a few myths out there, which shouldn't be really. But yeah, do you want to explain how we can look at self-employed income?
Yeah. So again, there's always been, I think, when James and I founded the Mortgage Quarter all those years ago, there was a misconception that you needed 3 years to be self-employed. Of recent times, people still think they say maybe 2 years, and therefore people think, well, that's unfair because if I was employed, it wouldn't take that long for me to subsequently get a mortgage. So self-employed, it is a fraction more difficult because getting a track record for your earnings, it is a little bit more difficult to prove, which is why you'll find that a year, though, is actually doable. Now, let's be honest, a year flies past before we all know it. And we can actually do mortgages with 1 year's accounts, not two, not three, as a lot of the myths say. And as long as, depending on obviously what those accounts say and a lot of other factors, there is every opportunity to use dividends, net profit, salary, which will mean something to you, of course, if you run your own business, be it as a sole trader or as a limited company director. So you can do that still with only 1 year's accounts. No, very true.
I'll bring all these up now. So these are types of contracts that can be accepted on a mortgage application. Mate, I don't know what order you want to do it in, whether you take it 1 to 6, but I just wanted to focus on one about not in roll yet. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that? Because again, that's a bit of a myth that we can go
Yeah,
over.
so I suppose that's almost similar to the self-employed thing, because a lot of people again think I have to have been working in that job for at least 3 months, have 3 months pay slips before I can apply for my mortgage. Absolutely not true. If you've got a future dated contract, so tonight we're at the 27th of February, so if it was the 27th of May, absolutely no problem. A lot of lenders are happy with a 3, sometimes even 6 month future dated contract, because they know that by the time the house process has gone through, you will have started your new role. So they're absolutely fine with a signed contract from your employer and from you, which is major because a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I think that's really good. We get that a lot, don't we, when people are moving up through their career or they get offered a promotion, then we can use those pay rises or new roles. Something that could be your main role or a second job, they're acceptable as well. But you've got things like 0-hour contracts, closely linked with the NHS bank and locum work, isn't it? That I guess that goes back to similar rules around self-employment. You probably want to see a good track record of those, but they can be used.
Yeah, that's when your P60 and your 3 to 6 to 12 months pay slips will show kind of a track record. But again, some people think you can't get a mortgage on a 0-hour contract. You can, as long as you can show that you've got the continuity and you're earning that money.
Yeah, really good. Lots of flexibility in the market. The fixed term contracts one there, that's very common now for some professions like teachers. They generally get,
IT contracts, yeah.
yeah. We got CIS contractors on there as well. So in the construction industry, we can use their invoices as a pay slip, which is really positive for them. And then number 6, just want to clear that one off there.
So again, we've got big high street lenders who will accept foreign income. So if you work for a company abroad, again, I think we know there is a bit of a myth where people think, they're not going to like it if it's paid in euros, dollars, all of you can think about 100 different currencies, but they can be accepted again. But this is why having a broker who knows what they're looking for when you come to them is absolutely major, because we deal with foreign income mortgages all the time. It's not a concern because we know the lenders that are happy with it.
Yeah. So I suppose that's that in a nutshell, really. But how much you can borrow is mainly based on that income. We haven't really touched on outgoings as well, but that would be part of the process. But there's so much flexibility out there, and so many opportunities to borrow the amount, hopefully, you need to.